So it's Sunday. Brooklyn's working the horses over in the arena area there, so I figured it's a good time to come back and start working on this. Got all these trees that we cut up this winter. Start picking up some of this firewood here and hauling it back to the burn pile area. What I think I'm going to do is, instead of having to haul it all over to the other side, I think I'm just going to make a firewood spot down by the burn pit area there. Kind of have an area in mind, so I think I'll just get these loaded up, haul it down there and dump it off to the side for now. And since it all needs to be split anyways, I'll kind of dump it in a temporary spot. And when I get a chance, I'll get the splitter back here and get it split. I was cutting down these trees though this winter. And I mean, you can see there's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 trees that we took down. And the whole purpose for taking these trees down, I kind of talked about it before, is I'm going to pull all these stumps out of here so I can get the dump truck in here to help get a bunch of this brush out. So that way I don't have to take it all out one tiny little trailer load by hand at a time. But I'm definitely going to need the excavator to get these bad boys out. I mean, these are pretty sizable stumps. I ain't getting that out just by hooking a chain to the tractor or something. I'm gonna have to dig out around that thing. I could cut them down flush, but I just like getting them out of there, because once they're out of there, they're gone. You ain't got to worry about them again. That's what I think we'll start today. Is I'm gonna get all this wood loaded up, get that back to the burn pile area, and then if Brooklyn's done working the horses, then I'll fire up the chainsaw and I'll start bucking up some of this stuff and getting some of the bigger logs out of here and opening it up. This tree actually was originally going to save, well, I did save part of it for a saw log. There's quite a bit more. It actually goes all the way back there. But if you look here, I opened that thing up and it was rotted out in the middle. A lot of these, there's just nothing in. But either way, it'll still make good firewood what is left there. So, all right, let's get to work and see what else we can accomplish. So I got the majority of that put out of there in that first run, but I was trying to get down to that second course of it, and I decided, you know what, these branches got to get out of here anyways, so I might as well just get a load of those put up, bring them over to the brush pile here, and get those knocked out right now while I'm in there. I had all the time in the world to do it today anyways. This brush pile area here, it's just been getting clogged up pretty bad because, like I said, I don't have access to the excavator right now, which typically what I'll do is I'll take that excavator in there and then kind of rake that all up with the bucket and throw it up on top of the brush pile. And that's what I'll do eventually here. I'm just waiting to get that back to the property, be able to clean up around this pile and let that pile just sit there and dry all summer. I started burning that thing last winter, and normally it goes up like nothing and it's no problem. She fires up, but this year I had a lot of problems trying to burn it just because I didn't really build the pile up until it was already late in the year, so I'd never had a chance to dry. So I'm trying to kind of alleviate that issue this year and get a nice base there, because even if I do keep adding trees throughout the year, as long as that base is able to dry over the course of the summer, which I'll tell you already, it's already kind of like a tinderbox there. As long as that base is dry and has something to start, even if there's green stuff on top, it'll fire and turn, start burning on that, so I'm not super worried about it. But just kind of wanted to talk a little bit here about this trail, and I've been working on this for, oh boy, I don't know, maybe 2 years now, and I've talked about the purpose of this trail in a lot of other videos, but it just takes so much time to do anything like this. When you're clearing by hand, and I mean, granted, I'm fortunate I have a tractor and access to an excavator intermittently to do this, but when you're just clearing by hand doing work like this, it just takes a ton of time, especially when you're by yourself. I mean, you got to think, each tree you got to cut down, and once it's cut down, you got to limb it, then you got to take care of the limbs, then you got to size it up into firewood or saw logs, whatever you're going to do there. Then you got to handle that material again. And I mean, that's just for one tree. When you get into these thicker areas like this where there's multiple trees and lots of foliage to deal with, it just takes a lot of time. You can see as we're driving right now, there's all these piles of down brush and debris, which, like I said, the purpose of this trail this whole time has been able to get a dump truck in here so I can just load out big chunks of this and put it on the brush pile. But the amount of time that I'm going to have to put into this place to get it where I want it to be and actually start being able to build something back here is insane. And I've said it in other videos, but it's going to be really fun to kind of watch the progression through these videos and see how this trail progresses. God, I'm really bad at doubling up on words. I like at that one I just said what the progression, then progress. I get a word in my head and then that's the only word that I say again for a while. But it's true. I'm going to be interested to see how much progress we can make on the property around here, and I wish I had more videos and clips of when we started, when it was just raw land. I mean, this trail wasn't even here, it was pure woods. There wasn't access around the whole thing. It was just field and woods. There was nothing when we started. So being able to kind of see it from this point moving on will be a lot of fun to look back years from now and see, wow, we've come a far way. I remember when it was still like that. It's going to be really cool down the line. So, well, thanks for watching, guys. All we got left in this clip here is just a little bit of this last little bit of wood, just getting that out, getting that loaded up, getting that out and unloaded. And the next step will be to get those trees that are in the brush pile area that are sitting there for firewood. I got to get those sized up into firewood, and then I got to get the log splitter back here and get this all split so that it's dry for the fall. Well, thanks for tuning in. Leave a like, comment, subscribe if you would. It means the world. Thanks for watching.